Hey, good afternoon, everyone. It's my privilege to welcome you to the Administrators Hub. This is September, and we are having again our knowledge sharing series. The Administrators Hub is a hub that's been put in place for us to learn, to unlearn, to relearn, and to network 21st century practices in the workplace. Initially started as a platform for administrators, professional administrators. But then as we went on and we began to explore the topic of administration, we found out that everybody in the workplace is actually an administrator. For as long as you are involved in the day-to-day running of an organization, you're also an administrator. And ever since that time when we made that discovery, we have been expanding our scope in the kind of topics that we bring to us. And so today we are here again. Now, today we have a very, very special topic that we'll be looking at. And it is special because it is not our typical administrative topic. However, it will be delivered by a tax administrator because she's involved in the day-to-day running of administration in that area. And that brings to my knowledge and experience that I had, I think about 6 years ago, must have been 2018, when I went for a master class for one of my professional bodies. And I remember one of the facilitators said, they began to teach us about finances. And in our hearts, it was like, no, we're administrators. Why are you teaching us about finances? And then as administrators, as managers, all of those administrators to be knowledgeable in all of those areas. So that when people bring papers and all of that, we are not operating as novices. Behold, about 2 years down the line, this became a reality for me because I began to manage, as I became the registrar at Landmark University, I also began to manage the financial unit of the university, the works unit of the university, the IGR generating unit of the university, and so on and so forth. And then I remembered what that man said when he was facilitating on that day. And that is why at the Administrators Hub, we have also thought it nice and thought it necessary to make learning holistic. And we are having a topic that is very, very germane. I've received a lot of feedback showing excitement at this topic. And the topic that we're looking at today is tax literacy and effective tax management strategies for the 21st century professionals. And we have a tax administrator, a professional, well-grounded professional, to do justice to this topic today. I'm not the one that will be introducing her. We have one of us that will be introducing her in due season and will be reading our profile to the house. However, it is my responsibility to just to welcome us. And so, having said that, I would also like to add that in the course of this event, we will bring up the announcements for today, for today on the chat. And we want you to please go there because we'll be talking about the Administrators Hub, our links to our, for instance, a WhatsApp group. We're about a 300 strong member group on the WhatsApp. We'll be giving you links to register as an administrator on the Administrators Hub, and so on and so forth. So please be on the lookout on the chat for this. And it is on this note, having said all of this, that I want to hand over to the next person who will be bringing us the profile of the administrator, the tax administrator that will be talking to us today. And please join me as I welcome Mr. Olajube to profile of our facilitator for today. You have the mic, Mrs. Olabode.
Good afternoon, ma. Good afternoon, everybody. You're welcome to the September edition of our knowledge sharing. I'm introducing to us this the brief profile. Can everybody hear me, please?
Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Okay. The brief profile of Oluwaseun Adejoke Olajube. Oluwaseun is an assistant director of taxes with the Ogun State Internal Revenue Service, Abeokuta. She joined the service as a tax administrator in December year 2000, and she's currently a zonal controller with OGIRS, overseeing the 7 tax stations spread across Abeokuta and its environ. She is a fellow of the prestigious Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria and was the chairman of Abeokuta and District Society of the Institute. Sorry, I'm having a glitch here. Between 2019 and 2021, uh, between 2019 and 2021, Oluwaseun Ajoke had served in various capacities on the National Executive Committee of the Society of Women in Taxation. What do I have here? I have my network. Sorry, am I still on the call?
You're on the call, please.
Okay. Jesus.
To buy time, can I assist you to complete?
I will complete it now. Yes, served. Oluwaseun Ajoke had served in various capacities on the National Executive Committee of the Society of Women in Taxation, the female advocacy wing of the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria. These are National Membership Secretary 2017 to 2019, National Publicity Secretary 2019 to 2021, National Social Secretary 2021 to 2023, and she's currently the National General Secretary of the Society. She runs TILTS Consults, a professional training outfit that engages in capacity building.
I think Mrs. Olabode is
Home.
experiencing a technical glitch. I'll quickly run through and finish on our behalf because we do not have time on our side. She runs TILTS Consults, a professional training outfit that engages in capacity building for various organizations. She has a passion specifically for quality service delivery and relationship management. Maybe one of these days we're going to bring her back to speak to us on relationship management. Those who have passed through a tutelage can testify to. She holds a BSc Accounting from University of Ilorin, a PhD in Computer Science from Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta, and a Master of Managerial Psychology from the University of Ibadan. Alongside this, she has taken several online courses in taxation and psychology and currently pursuing an MBA at the National Open University. What a very, very, very rich profile we have here this afternoon. You're welcome again, Mrs. Olajube. Our people are waiting. They want to listen to you. You have the mic now. You're welcome. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ma. Ms. Folawiloye. And thank you, Ms. Olabode, for that presentation, for my profile presentation. Yes, this morning, this afternoon, this evening, depending on where you are in the world, I'll be talking on tax literacy and effective management strategies for the 21st century professional. And I promise you that by the time you are done with this, you will have become a professional yourself talking tax, because I intend demystifying taxation. On a good day, when an ordinary person hears taxation, it's like, oh, they want to kill us, they want to take our money. But I promise you, by the time you are done today, you will understand taxation better, and you'll be in a position where you will talk to people and you encourage them more about taxation. So let's go. Thank you, Ma. Next slide, please. Yes, the outline. On the outline this morning, we have the definition of terms. There are terms that I need to define specifically for this purpose. Not because you don't know their meanings, but because they are coined for the purpose of this study, of this knowledge sharing. The types of taxes, why taxes, who should pay, the classification of taxes, personal income tax, which is going to be our own focus for today, because we are individuals wanting to know how to manage our own tax. Then the rights of a taxpayer, you surely have a right, which you need to know and you need to be educated about. Then the valid objection procedure, which is one of your rights as a taxpayer. And once you know a valid compliance,
Wow. Ms. Olajube, we can't hear you at all. We didn't hear any of the definition of terms. We can't hear you. No, we can't. Sorry, we can't.
sorry.
You
I
muted
just
yourself,
observed I was muted. Yeah,
but it wasn't even
apology.
showing here. No problem at all. Yeah.
Apology. Okay, so I'm now on definition of terms. I said I chose some terms to define not because we don't know them, but because I need to tailor them specifically for the purpose of this paper delivery. Tax, for example, when I was growing up while in school, tax had always been defined as a compulsory levy by government. That alone, compulsory levy by government, is demoralizing, and it informs most of the time what people take taxation to be. Once you hear it is a compulsory levy by government, you get turned off. But there's been various research and various works on taxation, and the one I have been able to come up with, I think I am comfortable with, is it is a compulsory. That word compulsory cannot be removed because you don't have a choice. Tax is law. It is a compulsory contribution by citizens to fund public projects beneficial to all. If I say beneficial to all, of course, you understand that you are part of the beneficiaries. So it is part of your own contribution to the development of the society. And I said literacy. Literacy is the ability to comprehend and analyze a concept. So in this concept, tax literacy is your ability to comprehend what taxation is about, to interpret it, and to analyze why you are paying what and where what you are paying is going. And effective, here I defined it as the ability to produce a positive and intended result. It's one thing to produce a result, it's another thing to be what you want it to produce. So here it is intended results such that you understand that, yeah, I'm not being overtaxed, I'm not being undertaxed, and what I am paying to government is what is what I am expected to pay without the feeling of unfairness. And management, we're all managers, and I'm not talking about the P's and whatever of management now. I'm just taking management here as being at the helm of your own affair, taking charge of your own taxes, taking charge of what you pay as tax. Then strategies is the approach to achieve your goal. The approach to be able to know what you're paying, to be able to pay right, and to be able to understand why you are paying it. And a professional. Yes, I said here that a professional is someone with expertise in a chosen field. Like Ms. Onyiloye said earlier, she said everybody is an administrator in their own right. So I'm saying here too that everybody is a professional in their own right. That man on the street that cleans your car, even that person in your house that helps with the house chore, is a professional. So I'm talking to everybody today. That's why I'm breaking all these down, so that we will know that this is for everybody. You are a professional in your own right. Shall we continue, ma'am? Next slide, please. Types of taxes. I had already explained tax, what it's all about. Now I'll focus on I'll limit the types of taxes for our consumption here, because we are taxpayers and not tax administrators. If we had been tax administrators, definitely the types of taxes listed would have been more than this. But for our own consumption, it's the personal income tax, the company tax, and the petroleum profit tax. These are the three major types of taxes that we need to know about. Next slide, ma'am. Why taxes? Why do we pay taxes? Why does government encourage us to contribute our quota to the development of the nation? The first one here says revenue generation for government, which we all know. It is one of the major revenue generation sources for government, especially now that oil revenue has dwindled seriously in Nigeria. The government depends on taxes. The government depends on you. The government depends on me to be able to bring up all these facilities. And that brings me to the funding of public projects. All these projects are funded with revenue generated from government. Like I said, oil revenue has dwindled. Of course, there's federal allocation, but how far can federal allocation go to our various tiers of government, especially the state government? Then even this federal allocation, most of the money come from taxes that we have paid through the Federal Inland Revenue Service. Then redistribution of wealth. Tax is structured such that the higher you earn, the more you pay. So it's not a situation where the rich are getting richer and lording it over the poor. No. If well managed and if properly structured, tax is such that encourages redistribution of wealth. It manages redistribution of wealth. So those are the basic reasons why we pay taxes, why we are expected to pay taxes. Next slide, ma'am. Who should pay? Any individual that is 18 and above earning income. Tax is income based. It is a function of income. If you are not earning income, you are not expected to pay taxes. But because tax is income based, as long as you are above 18, anybody under 18 is considered minor in Nigeria. But once you are above the age of 18 and you are earning income, you are qualified to pay taxes. Then businesses. There are businesses that don't generate income. There are businesses who run at a loss. Such businesses are not expected to pay taxes. But as long as that business is generating an income, you are expected to pay all the various taxes associated with those businesses, especially for this purpose, for this lecture now, the personal income tax of your staff, which is personal to them anyway, and of course the company income tax, like I highlighted earlier, to the Federal Inland Revenue Service. Next slide, ma'am. There are basically two classes or categories of taxes. Like I said, I'm picking this because I know I am not talking to tax professionals. I'm talking to professionals from various fields. If I'd been talking to tax professionals, it possibly would have been handled in a detailed manner. We have the direct taxation and we have the indirect taxation. Indirect taxation, of course, basically this is where we have the personal income tax. And every other tax that is not personal is indirect because somebody bears the burden. For direct taxation, it is the tax that you cannot transfer the burden. You bear the burden of that taxation yourself. That is direct taxation. The indirect taxation is the ones that you can always transfer. The burden is transferred to other entities in indirect taxation. That is where we have like the value added tax, where the customer bears the burden, the consumption tax, where the person making the purchase, the entertainment purchase, bears the burden. As long as the burden of taxation can be transferred to someone else, that is what we refer to as indirect. But for direct taxation, you bear the burden yourself. I hope we are getting all I'm saying right. Yes, personal income tax, which is why we are here today, which is the basis, the main essence of our togetherness this day. In personal income tax, we have the pay as you earn. Personal income tax, we have the pay as you earn for employees. Employers of labor are expected to deduct taxes of their employees on current year basis. I won't go into all the basis of taxation because all the basis of taxation, for obvious reasons, like I said, we are not tax administrators, we are taxpayers. But you as an employer of labor or you as an employee, whichever the case may be, wherever you fall, your taxes and the taxes of your employees are expected to be deducted on current year basis, and most of the time it is on monthly basis. Then the direct assessment. Remember I said it's a function of income. So direct assessment is always on the preceding year basis. And why is that so? This is August. No, this is September. I cannot determine what my income for the year will be since I'm not on salary. If I am not on salary, I'll have to wait till the end of the year before I'm able to determine what my income will be. So for people on the direct assessment schedule, the tax is payable on a preceding year basis, which means whatever I am paying this year is for last year. Whatever I'll pay for 2024 will be determined in 2025. That is what we mean by preceding year basis. And for direct assessment, to be able to get the figures right there are three basic ways of determining the direct assessment. We have the self-assessment, where you as the individual, all individuals are expected to file in their returns for the previous year. Like I said, it is last year's income that you are paying this year. So it is when you file in the returns, you are free to assess yourself. In fact, there is I don't know the word to call it now. There is a bonus for that, 1%. If you're able to file your income details before the 31st of March and you assess yourself, you have 1% bonus over what is it that is payable to government. That is one of the motivations for self-assessment. Then we have the government assessment. What do I mean by government assessment? There are times we file in all our details. Remember, when you are filing in your details, your returns, you are filing in the returns for income from all sources. Income from all sources is essential. If you are a civil servant, but you sell clothes, you sell shoes, you make hair, you are expected to file in all those returns, so that at the end of the day, when this is being compiled, whatever it is that has been deducted from your salary as a civil servant will be removed from the calculation. You'll be left with your income from other sources that you need to pay for. So that is where government assessment comes in now. If for one reason or the other you are not able to compute, you are not able to generate an assessment for yourself, you just file in your returns telling government, this is all I earned last year, this was all I earned last year or something. It is the duty of the Internal Revenue Service to sit with your declaration and generate an assessment for you. So that is what I mean by government assessment. It's an assessment generated based on the information provided by you, the taxpayer. Then the best of judgment assessment, there or here, it's there is a process. There's what we call Form A, which is the income declaration form. When it is given to you and you refuse to declare your income, the government is left with no choice than to use other bases to determine what your income should be. And that is what we call the best of judgment assessment. And like I said earlier, all individuals are expected to file in their returns for the previous year from all income from all sources between January 1st and 31st of March. So from April 1st, the tax for the previous year becomes due. Thank you, ma. Next slide, please. What is an assessment? I've been saying assessment, assessment, assessment. Best of judgment assessment, self-assessment, government assessment. An assessment is the process of determining how much is to be paid as tax based on the income from all sources. In determining the assessment, however, you are entitled to some reliefs. It is not all about, okay, this is how much he earns, this is how much he should pay. No. In determining the assessment, statutory reliefs would have been considered as part of the process. You know, before now, we used to have children allowance, dependent relative allowance, personal allowance, and all those things. But when there was a major tax amendment in 2011, all this was repealed and it was consolidated to a consolidated relief allowance. So when calculating your taxes, you may not see child allowance, dependent relative allowance again. That had been repealed since 2011. All you will see is the consolidated relief allowance, but it is an allowance that is essential when computing your assessment. The tax rates. After getting to what we call your assessable income, which is the remaining part of your income after removing the allowables, the allowances, the first 300 is computed at 7%. The next 300, which is now at 600, it is at 11%. The next 500 is at 15%. The next 500 again is at 19%. That is 1.6 already. Then the next 1.6 is now at 21%. So giving it 3.2 million. So anything above 3.2 million is at 24%. Note please that all this income it's on your annual income, not on your monthly income. Since it is on direct assessment basis, it is on your annual income. So any annual income that is above, any value above 3.2 million is computed at 24%. I hope we are getting it right. Yes, ma. Next slide, please. As a taxpayer, you have rights. Like I said when I was introducing the topic, it is not a situation where anything the tax authority says you must swallow. No. The tax authority, the tax officials are not demons. They don't have control over your money. They don't have control over what you need to pay. You have a say in it. And these are the rights you have as a taxpayer. You have a right to know and be informed. If the tax authority is telling you, for this year, you are paying 100,000, you have the right to be told the breakdown of that money. How did you arrive at this 100,000? Why am I paying 100,000? You need to ask because you deserve to be informed. And you have the right to quality service without discrimination. The way Mr. President will be treated is the way Oluwaseun should be treated when it comes to rendering service to a taxpayer, because the taxpayers are king. And there is no penny that goes into government purse from anybody that is more useful than the other, than from another. Everybody sweats for their money. So everybody deserves that quality service without discrimination. The right to confidentiality. The tax authority, the tax official has a right to every information expected from a taxpayer to be able to determine their taxes. But even at that, it is still, the onus still lies on the tax administrator or the tax authority to keep that information confidential, because those information are released for the purpose of taxation, not for public consumption. So each taxpayer has a right to confidentiality. If you have revealed an information to a tax official while interviewing you, and you now step out to hear that same information outside, and you are sure you did not reveal it to any other person, you have the right to question the tax authority, because the tax authority has no right to release your information outside of when and where it is needed. Then you have the right to object to an assessment. That the tax authority says, like I said earlier, that you are paying 100,000 does not mean that 100,000 is what you have to pay. You have the right to object to it. It's just that there must be very, very valid grounds for that assessment we will go to in a short while. And you have the right to appeal. We have tax appeal tribunals spread all over the country. You know, there are times when you are not in agreement with the tax authority and you are not able to come to a common ground, to agree on a common ground with the tax authority. At such times, you have the right to go to the tax appeal tribunal. They are the courts specially designed for tax matters. Then you have the right to representation. You are not a lawyer. You are not a tax professional. You may not be able to defend certain things on your own. You have the right to have a lawyer or a tax consultant to be able to represent you. You don't need to take permission from any tax authority to get that. It is your right, as long as you let the authority know this is the person that is representing me for so purpose. That's all. It is your right. And you have the right to sue. And as you have the right to sue the tax authority, you can also be sued. You can sue the tax authority if you feel they are being unfair to you for reasons best known. The only thing is, just note that when you are suing the tax authority, you are suing government. And most of the time, you must be very sure of what you are taking to court. Because I can tell you that before the tax authority relaxes and allows you to take them to court, they would have done their homework perfectly. So for you to sue, I pray that it won't be a situation whereby you will sue, you will go to court, and you still come back to have more liability to settle. Next slide, please. Yes, I mentioned earlier that the fact that the tax authority says this is what you should pay makes it final. No. You have the right to object, but the objection, before it can be considered by the tax authority, number one, it must be in writing. There is nothing like a verbal objection. No, you can't bring this to me. No, I won't take it. Yes, we understand. You don't want it, but you have to put it into writing. But while putting it into writing too, you must be able to state clearly your grounds of objection. The reason why you feel you are not going to take what the tax authority is saying should be well spelled out in writing. And if you have supporting documents that you need to attach, please attach them to the letter you have written. The letter must be concise, it must be clear. Your grounds of objection must be clear, must be stated, and if you have supporting documents, like I said, please feel free to attach them. Then, above all, it must be within 30 days of receiving the notice of assessment. Mind you, I did not say it must be within 30 days of the dating of the letter or of the assessment. No. Anytime you receive an instrument, a notice from the tax authority, always write the date of receipt down on that paper. Of course, the tax authorities will have their own proof of delivery, but you as a taxpayer, always write down the date you receive that notice so that your objection can fall within 30 days, because once it is 31 days, it becomes final and binding because you have not objected. Once it is 31 days, the tax authority, except on compassionate grounds, the tax authority is not under any obligation to listen to your objection or to treat your objection again. So note that very, very well. It must be within 30 days of receiving the notice of assessment. Next slide, ma'am. Yes, having said that, the fact that I earn ₦1 million in a month and I pay 54,000 does not mean Mrs. Olabode, who earns ₦1 million too, must pay 54,000. No. If you have life insurance policies, please present it. Most of us do, but we don't know that they are allowable. We don't know that they are deductible from our assessable income. So if you have your life insurance policy, always present it to the accountant in your office, or if you are a self-employed person, always ensure you present it to the tax authority when you are filing in your returns. Then pension fund contribution. Now we are in contributory pension for the government. I think the privately owned whatever have always been in the contributory pension scheme. Whatever it is that you are contributing to pension, always note it and always present it for the purpose of taxation. Yes, as a self-employed too, you will have your retirement day someday. So if you have engaged a pension administrator to be managing what you're saving towards your pension, always present the premium evidence so that this can be considered, because all the money you are sending into your pension fund as your pension contribution, they are not taxable. The money, all those money are deductible from your assessable income. Then if you see the likes of Dangote, the likes of Nestle building roads, building this, building that, or giving to the needy, don't think it is because they love them. It is simply because they know that corporate social responsibility projects are allowable, and every value, every income, every penny spent on such is deductible from what their assessable income will be as a company. And if you are an individual too, and you are a philanthropist, please hear, philanthropy does not mean you are sending your brother-in-law to school, so you want the money back. I'm the one sending my auntie's late husband, I'm the one funding his this and that. No. Corporate social responsibility must not have family ties. So if you are into such, and you have the records of what you have been doing as a philanthropist, please always present it when you are presenting your returns so that you can be given credit for all this. These are very good ways of, I think I'm still coming to tax evasion and tax avoidance. These are very good ways of avoiding taxes. Very good way of reducing your tax liability without it being criminal. Because please, the next slide, ma, I think that's where what I'm talking about is now. Yes, tax avoidance and tax evasion. Tax avoidance is a legal means of reducing tax payable by reducing your assessable income, and that was why I listed in the previous slide. I listed those income that are allowable to be able to reduce your assessable income. Tax evasion is illegal and criminal. Some people evade tax because they think they are smart. These are the kind of people the government always come after by refusing to make your contribution. And there's always this thing that people say that, well, we tax administrators to dread it, but we are learning on a daily basis to manage our taxpayers. The general question is, what does government do with our money safe? Let me tell you, ma and sir, that taxation is law. it is not attached to any service. The government, as well, it is just unfortunate that we have a system in Nigeria where our government is not really accountable. But when you say what the law is, the government is not does not owe you any duty to tell you this is what I spent your money for. The law says you pay your taxes. Of course, the taxes are meant to be used for the production, for the development of the nation and everything, which we are not saying. But I know Nigeria is getting better daily in Jesus' name. But don't say because you are not seeing what government is using your money for, you become a criminal. If you don't pay your taxes as and when due, and if you don't, like I said, as and when due, if you don't do that, it is illegal, it is criminal, and it can lead to a lot of things, including jail. May we not be jailed because now you know that you can always avoid some taxes by doing some things, but you can reduce your tax liability, but you don't have the right to evade taxes. Next slide, please. Penalties for non-compliance. If you don't comply and there is an assessment waiting for you, the first penalty is you have to pay 10% of 10% of that assessment will be added. Then interest at the prevailing market rate. There was a time interest was 21%. So if you add 21% to 10%, it means you are paying 31% of what you are owing plus what you are owing. Now, I think somebody was saying, well, last year, the interest, because of the situation of the economy, the market rate interest was brought down to 14%. So even at that, it means you'll be paying 24% more than what you were supposed to pay if you had paid when you were supposed to pay. Then fines. Non-compliance, not filing your returns to, is non-compliance. For individuals, the fine is 50,000. For corporate entities, it is 500,000. And this is it with corporate entities. No matter how little your business is, as long as it is a corporate entity and it meets every criteria of a corporate entity, if you don't file for corporate entities, the filing of return is between January 1st and January 31st. It is individuals that extends to March 31st. So if for any reason you don't file in your returns, I'm talking about non-compliance. So non-filing of returns is non-compliance. If you don't file in your returns, no matter how small the business is and no matter how big the business is too anyway, you have a fine of 500,000 waiting for you. If as an individual, you don't file in your returns before 31st of March, you have 50,000 waiting for you, no matter how low your income is or no matter how high your income is. Then court injunction to distrain when necessary. I deliberately put when necessary because there are some times where the penalty for whatever it is jail. Not to scare you, I did not put jail here, but it exists. If it is about a business, you may have there may be a court injunction. Okay, you are not paying your personal income tax from income generated from this business. That is when you see the Internal Revenue Service or the Federal Inland Revenue Service going around to seal businesses with court injunction. Yes, please, next slide. And with that, I hope and I believe that I have been able to touch one or two things. I have improved your knowledge about taxation. I have demystified taxation, and you no longer see taxmen as your enemies. Thank you for the opportunity, the Administrators Hub. Thank you for joining in, everyone. I appreciate. God bless.
Wow, wow, wow. Thank you so much, Mrs. Oluwaseun Adejoke Olajube, FCTI, for these very insightful moments this afternoon. Like she said, she simply came here this afternoon to demystify taxation. And we have learned so much from her today, from the very onset when she began, She began by telling us that she came here today to demystify taxation, and that she did indeed. And then she went on to define what taxation is, and she said it's a contribution, and I like that. A contribution, something that you have to contribute, and it is compulsory, that's done by citizens into the public fund, for the beneficiary of everyone. And then she went on to talk to us that tax is meant to encourage fair distribution of wealth, such that when someone who earns more pays tax, you naturally pay more than the person who earn lower than you. She said that tax could be direct or indirect. That then she spoke about personal income taxes, which we all know in our workplaces as pay as you earn, and that it's on current month basis. She spoke also to us that about preceding year taxation for those persons who cannot predict, who do not have the ability to say, this is how much I earn. So we look at what they earned the last year, and then they sit down with the tax official or revenue official to work out what their tax is, and so on and so forth. I don't want to take our time this afternoon. I love the fact that she said that taxpayers have rights. So if you are told that this is the amount you have to pay, you have a right to look at it. And because you have been educated this afternoon, because you know the percentages that you're expected to pay, it means that you can sit down and work those things out, to see whether what you have been taxed is what it should be or what it should not be. She spoke also about valid objection procedure, just in case you want to object to a taxation that has been done or a tax that has been issued to you. She spoke about the allowables. So it means that if, for instance, you're contributing to NHF, you're contributing to pension fund, life insurance, you're involved in CSR projects, all of those things. When you do all of that, they are deductibles. They are deductibles from the tax that you have to pay. And I love the part when she said that you are giving gifts to members of your family and you are sponsoring them. Is not a CSR, just in case some persons are here thinking that they are allowables. And she went on to let us know that there are penalties for non-compliance. She said that not paying your tax is illegal and criminal, and we do not want to be seen either as illegal or as criminals. And so she told us also what those penalties are. We definitely do not want to be caught in the web of non-payment and non-compliance and being dragged here and there. I want to say on behalf of everybody that is on this call this afternoon and everyone that will be here after now, I want to say a very big thank you to our facilitator for making knowledge common. For those who know us on this hub, one of the things we do is to make knowledge common. Please, if you're still on the call and you have questions to our facilitator, please type it on the chat. We will take it in the next 2 minutes. One of the things we're doing on the hub is to make knowledge common. And that is exactly what Mrs. Olajube has come here this afternoon to do. She has come to demystify taxation. She has come to simplify the subject of taxation. And on behalf of everybody that is here today, I want to say a very big thank you to you. Now, when I'm giving the vote of thanks, I'm going to talk about that. So I haven't said all of that. Do we have persons on the call this afternoon who have questions for our dear Mrs. Olajube? Or she's such a wonderful teacher that we have taken everything in and we do not have any question for her. Please, if you have any question for her, please put it. Yes. We have Ademola Bolaji here, and he or she is saying, what are the potential benefits and risk of automated tax audits? Yeah, I'm sure that the issue of ethical practices will be coming up here. So, Mrs. Olajube, can you please attend to that question? What are the potential benefits and risk of automated tax audits?
Yes, thank you. Automated tax audit, like the word says, or like the phrase says, when you hear automation, you know it is computerization. The risk there is lower than the benefit. The risk there is just that the tax agent, the taxpayer is not able to manipulate any information. Whatever you key in or whatever has been keyed in is it. And when you now talk about possibly the system does not even malfunction. It is garbage in, garbage out. It is when garbage goes in that garbage goes out. That is it. But the benefit of automation, you can't manipulate information. And it enables government to get what is due. What you earn is what is revealed. All your details are there on the system. It has no opportunity for human interference. So I know this question, the person that asked this question is knowledgeable in taxation and possibly a tax consultant, one way or the other. So he or she understands what I mean when I say you cannot manipulate information. Gone are the days where you pay tax officials to change your details. Gone are the days where you pay tax officials to, no, that was what I put in, it was a mistake. No, this is the next thing. No. That is not available again with automation. Whatever it is that is keyed in is what the system brings out. It has no room for human interference. And like I said, if there is any whatever at all, it is on the part of the taxpayer, because it means you cannot manipulate what you have already keyed into the system. Then for the tax administrator, especially now when we talk about personal income tax, I think the experience we have on this automation thing, you said tax audit, but I'm now generalizing it. When you talk about automation now, when a taxpayer sits behind his computer at home, keys in all information, if they lie, it may not be easy for the tax authority to know, except through audit. But at times, as tax administrators, as experienced tax administrators, when a taxpayer walks into your office, before sitting down, you already have an idea of who the person is. These are opportunities missed with automation. For tax audit, like you said, since you limited it, since you are particular about tax audit, for instance, now, one of the things we look out for in audit is the number of expatriates in a company. If the system has detected 10, you cannot change it to 2 without having reasons, without producing evidences that they are no longer there. And for you to even be able to produce those evidences, you have to reach the immigration offices to confirm your claims. I think basically that is what I have to say about that. But since what we based our conversation on today is personal income tax, I will want to say that the disadvantage is more to the government here. If a person I can interview a taxpayer and the taxpayer will tell me what he never planned to say. Madam, no. One of your children is in Covenant University. Another one is in, one of them just traveled abroad recently. Meanwhile, this taxpayer is trying to argue over why he should pay 500,000. Why his income should be determined as 500,000. When you have a one-on-one with such a person, you are able to gather very, very vital information. And at the end of the day, by the time you are taking your note, he is talking carelessly, you are taking your note. By the time you come to the end of the conclusion and you bring out your assessment, he will beg you, because he would have realized that all he has said has given him away, has shown him he has more than the income he has declared. Because if you have a child that is in Covenant University, for instance, studying medicine, you know how much that child is paying, and you are claiming you don't earn 500,000 in a year. So who sponsors the child? But with automation, when they are allowed to do all these things online, you may not have access to all those information. I think that's what I have to say on that. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. Our time is fast spent, but we still got some questions. I'm sure that some of your colleagues are here today, and I can see some very professional questions that are coming up. We'll take one more question, but before we take that question, I still want to go back to automation. When you spoke about garbage in and garbage out. who takes responsibility? Now we're talking about accountability. Who takes responsibility if, for instance, something was wrongly imputed for me? Who takes responsibility? I have provided the correct information, but the person imputing the information has wrongly imputed. And because of that, I have a higher tax than I should naturally pay. Who takes responsibility? Now, I do not want the persons who are on the call this afternoon to think otherwise. I am a very, very fervent believer in IT. I believe that it has been given to us to make life easier for us, to help us to do our jobs better. But I'd like us to look into that, because I know there was also a time we looked at ethical issues in administrative accountability on this platform sometimes in the past. So can you please advise us? What happens? Who takes responsibility? And let's assume that we're talking about a tax illiterate who doesn't even know anything about it. And then that person goes ahead to pay this tax because there was a wrong imputation by a tax officer. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ma. I want us to view this in more than one way. Okay, the person does not even know he has a right to object. He goes ahead to pay the money. If at the end of the day, he or she discovers he has overpaid, he can approach the tax authority. Of course, nobody will give you back money. We are not out there. But he will have the tax credit deductible from the next assessment. Meanwhile, for those who are not illiterate, which is one of the things we have said here today, you have a right to object. If you feel this assessment is too high, it does not reflect my income due to a wrong input from somebody. Although most of the time when you talk about this, most of the things imputed are from the taxpayer, are by the taxpayer themselves. But a situation where the tax authority imputes it and something goes wrong, the taxpayer has a right to object, and it will be objectively looked into. Thank you
so much. So I'll take this question from Samuel Abiodun. I'm sure that is one of those things that you encounter when you go to the field, and he's asking, what are the problems associated with tax collection in Nigeria? Maybe you can just give us one or two or three, because I know that when you go out there, you encounter a lot with tax evaders.
The major problem associated is one of the things I said earlier. An average taxpayer will ask you, what does government even do with our money? To be able to convince such a person that it is law, you just play your part, come back and ask questions, which is supposed to be what it should be. It is always a Herculean task. Then enlightenment. The Revenue Service is doing all they can to enlighten taxpayers. This is part of the enlightenment now, demystifying taxation. To enlighten them, let them understand what tax is all about. Let them know that whatever it is at any given point, you have a right to ask questions. Tax is not just a compulsory levy, it is the law and it is your contribution. Allow them to own it, to understand it. This is one of the problems we face on the field. Lack of enlightenment on certain revenue items. Then, lack of trust in tax administrators. We know Nigeria is filled with corruption. So an average person will tell you, they will steal our money. That is one of the things automation has done. You are paying directly into government accounts online. Nobody has access to your money. So it is helping to protect the integrity of tax administrators. But like I said, basically, the major thing is, what is government doing with our money? If our government can be a little bit more responsible, if our government can provide more social services that people can relate with and identify with, I know that people will pay taxes more readily. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, I'm sure that at some point you'll have to go to our YouTube platform to answer some of the questions that are there. Ademola Bolaji is asking that tax education be integrated into school curriculum, and I totally agree with that, because here we are, most of us before this knowledge sharing session are illiterates, pure stark illiterate when it comes to taxation. But for the light that you have shed on the topic today, is saying that is talking about tax education being integrated into school curriculum to improve financial literacy. Is asking how this can be done, but please, I will appeal that you go to the platform. I'm looking at the time as well. We have a 1 hour stretch, and we have hit the 1 hour, the 1 hour time. But I'll quickly take Laleye Abidemi Medaedu's question. Which law governs the tax authorities' general expectation that there should be a progressive 30%? You can see professionals asking questions here today. Annual increase in direct assessment tax paid especially in a country like Nigeria. I hope these persons are not your examiners. Because the kind of questions they are bringing up. Can you please address that? Which law governs the tax authorities' general expectation that there should be a progressive 30% annual increase in direct assessment tax paid, especially in a nation like Nigeria?
Well, thank you. I'll take both questions together, actually. For Mr. Ademola Abolaji, I'll tell you that the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria is working seriously on ensuring, and they are making progress, on ensuring that taxation is introduced into the curriculum in schools. Then for Mrs. Medaedu, she's actually my colleague. And I know what she's talking about when she says 30%. But my answer to her will be that that is not a question for this forum. We are talking to our taxpayers here, not to our administrators. That is something, not something we need to divulge on this forum. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much to all our participants out there. Thank you for coming out en masse to be a part of this today. To all of the persons who will be joining this call later on to also watch this, we're also saying thank you for coming this way to listen to this presentation today. For everybody that is out there on this call, we want to appeal to you this evening to like and subscribe to the Administrators Hub so that you can get notifications from us when next we have a presentation or a knowledge sharing series. Now we have come to the end of this presentation today, and someone is supposed to bring the vote of thanks to our presenter. Someone has been given the responsibility on our agenda, but there is also a member, a very strong member of the think tank of the Administrators Hub here with us this afternoon, in the person of Dr. Oladayo Ibitoye. Now, he was the person that shared knowledge with us last month. He spoke so richly about quality service delivery. I will ask that you go back to our platform, our YouTube platform, our YouTube page, to check this delivery. It was rich, it was insightful, it was resourceful. He's here this afternoon, and even though the host and the convener of the administrators of is supposed to give the vote of thanks, I'm going to ask him, because I've spoken so much this evening, I'm going to ask him to please give the vote of thanks. But let me review this quickly so that he can wrap it up, when he's giving the vote of thanks. Mrs. Olajube has made a huge sacrifice in being a part of this program today. She has an event, a big event in her career life, ahead of her. But she said something to me 2 days ago when we discussed. She said, I was the one that chose September, and my word is my bond. Talking about integrity. I want us to also take cognizance of that when we're doing the appreciation. On this note, I want to invite Mr. Doctor. Well, pardon me, it will take some time. You're a fresh doctor. It will take some time before I begin to use that. I've used Mr. for 11 years, so I'm just learning now. I'm just learning now, or 30 years. I'm just learning now to be the doctor. I want to invite Dr. Ibitoye to give us a closing remark. I can see Mr. Olajube here. Family support, wonderfully done. Wow, wow, wow. Thank you, sir, for giving us that platform, to just express ourselves. Over to you, Dr. Dupe.
Well, thank you very much, the host and the convener of the administrators up for the opportunity given to me to actually handle the vote of thanks. We sincerely appreciate Ms. Olajube for the thought-provoking presentation this afternoon or this day as a tour, depending on allocations. And we can really say that we've left the realm of being an illiterate with respect to taxation. And I am very sure that every participant today, we've actually garnered knowledge with respect to taxation. And it is on this note, on behalf of the administrators of that, we deeply appreciate you for your time and even for your effort in preparing for this presentation, because you've actually demystified the issue of taxation, and we know that we are better off. And probably for those that have been evading tax, maybe because of some questions that what is government actually using our money for, I believe that we are well equipped now to know that it is our responsibility to actually do that. Like they have actually appreciated a facilitator, we must also appreciate the participants of today's knowledge sharing series on the administrators hub. We appreciate you for your time, and we hope that you'll continue to join us at our monthly knowledge sharing series, and we're optimistic that you'll continue to learn great things on this platform. It is on these notes that once again I appreciate everyone, and thank you, the host, for the privilege to present the vote of thanks. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ibe, for that very succinct appreciation to our presenter and facilitator today. And I join my voice to say a very huge thank you to her and also to everybody that's been on this call today. Please go to our social media handles. We are the Administrators Hub on LinkedIn. We are the Administrators Hub on Facebook. And please follow us. From those platforms, you'll be able to see the things that we do from time to time. And if you also look at the the chat, you will see our various links to the administrators hub, link to the WhatsApp, the administrators hub WhatsApp group, link also to our YouTube page, link to register as a member. We request that you kindly subscribe to all of these so that you can get easy notification each time we are having a program. It's on this note that I want to thank everybody again for being here today and request that you be on the lookout. Be on the lookout for what we have in stock for the month of October 2024. Thank you so much for joining us today. Cheers and blessings, and see you the next time. And that's going to be the first week of October 2024. Ciao. Bye. Thank you for
Bye.
being here. Thank you.